The night Michael Harper gave away his last coffee, he did not know he was also giving away the final thread of his exhaustion, his pride, and the little warmth he had saved for himself after a brutal day. It was raining hard on a quiet street in Columbus, Ohio, the kind of rain that soaks through shoes and settles into your bones, and Michael stood under a flickering cafe awning holding a paper cup that felt heavier than it should have. He was a single father of two, worn thin by responsibility and grief, and that coffee was the only thing standing between him and complete collapse. Then he noticed her, sitting on a cold bench across the street, trembling slightly, eyes fixed on the ground as if the world had already passed judgment on her and moved on. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the quiet miracles that still happen in ordinary lives, take a moment right now to like this video, comment your thoughts, share it with someone who needs hope, and subscribe to the channel, because stories like this remind us that even the smallest acts can change everything. Michael's life had not always been this hard, but it had been honest. After his wife passed away from illness 3 years earlier, the house felt too big and too silent, and the mornings felt impossibly heavy. He worked 2 jobs, one as a warehouse loader before sunrise and another as a janitor in the evenings, doing everything he could to keep food on the table for his children, Noah and Grace. Coffee had become his lifeline, a simple ritual that helped him survive long nights and early mornings. That night, his wallet held only a few crumpled bills, just enough for 1 cup. He had planned to drink it slowly on the walk home, letting the warmth push back the cold and the loneliness. But as he looked at the woman on the bench, wearing a thin jacket and shoes that had seen better days, something inside him refused to let him walk away. The woman's name, he would later learn, was Rebecca Collins. But at that moment she was simply a stranger waiting for help in a world that had stopped noticing her. She looked exhausted in a deeper way, not just physically, but as if life had pressed down on her for too long without relief. Michael crossed the street without thinking it through, feeling the familiar fear of having nothing left to give. He placed the coffee beside her and walked away before doubt could catch him, before he could calculate the cost of generosity. As he headed home, his hands empty and his body shaking from the cold, he wondered if he had been foolish. That coffee might have been the difference between making it through the night or not. Yet, as he unlocked his apartment door and watched his children sleeping peacefully, he felt a strange calm settle in his chest, as if he had done something that mattered. The night passed slowly. Michael barely slept, his mind racing with worries about rent, groceries, and another exhausting day ahead. By morning, his head ached and his muscles screamed as he prepared breakfast and walked his kids to school before heading to his early shift. He moved through the hours on autopilot, barely aware of the world around him, until his shift ended and he returned to his apartment building to grab a quick rest before work again. That was when he saw her. A woman stood near the entrance, clean and composed now, holding a small bag and looking around as if searching for someone. For a moment, Michael did not recognize her, but when their eyes met, something clicked, and his heart skipped. It was the woman from the bench, the stranger who had taken his last coffee. Rebecca looked different in the daylight, not because her struggles had vanished, but because there was purpose in her posture. She had tracked him down through the cafe owner, who remembered the tired man who had bought a single coffee the night before. That cup, she explained through tears and gratitude, had been the first kindness she had received in weeks. Rebecca had once been a nurse in Chicago, a woman with a stable life and plans for the future, until a series of losses and bad decisions pulled the ground from under her. She had traveled to Ohio chasing a job opportunity that never materialized, leaving her stranded and ashamed. That coffee had not only warmed her hands, it had reminded her that she was still seen, still human, still worthy of help. Rebecca had spent the night in a shelter, and that morning she had contacted an old colleague who agreed to help her get back on her feet. She came to find Michael not to repay him with money, but to offer something else. She offered gratitude, hope, and a promise that his kindness had sparked a turning point. She handed him a small envelope containing a gift card and a handwritten note, insisting that he use it for his children. Michael tried to refuse, overwhelmed and embarrassed, but Rebecca's determination mirrored his own quiet strength. In that moment, standing in a worn apartment hallway, Two broken lives briefly intersected and reminded each other what faith in humanity looked like. As weeks passed, the impact of that single act continued to ripple outward. The gift card helped Michael buy groceries when his budget was stretched thin, easing a burden he rarely spoke about. Rebecca stayed in touch, updating him on her progress, sharing how she found steady work in a small apartment, and how she volunteered at the same shelter that helped her. Michael found himself standing a little taller at work, carrying a renewed sense of purpose. His children noticed the change too, sensing hope where there had once been only fatigue. The story of the coffee became a quiet family lesson, a reminder that kindness did not require abundance, only willingness. Life did not suddenly become easy for Michael, but it became lighter. He continued working hard, continued struggling, but now he carried proof that even in his weakest moment, he had been capable of changing a life, including his own. The memory of Rebecca's gratitude stayed with him on the hardest days, reminding him that faith was not always loud or dramatic. Sometimes faith was a warm cup passed from one tired soul to another in the rain. Sometimes it was choosing compassion when you had every excuse to hold back. If this story has touched your heart, if it has reminded you that small acts can carry great power, please take a moment to like this video, share it with someone who needs encouragement, and subscribe to the channel so we can keep spreading stories that matter. And before this story ends, leave a comment below sharing whether you believe one small act of kindness can truly change a life. Michael never saw himself as a hero, and Rebecca never forgot the man who saw her when the world looked away. In the quiet corners of an ordinary American city, their lives crossed for just a moment, but the impact echoed far beyond that rainy night. Sometimes miracles do not arrive with bright lights or grand gestures. Sometimes they arrive in paper cups, trembling hands, and the courage to give even when you feel empty.